Welcome.
Thank you
Welcome
so
to Lewis,
much.
Delaware.
It has already been a warm
It's
welcome.
first time, yeah,
It's
good.
amazing.
Yeah, this community is really strong. Like I said, it's a big volunteer, and that's what it's all about with Paul. Paul cares. You know, he's a former bass player for Bad Company, so he's on the road. And he turned all that around into his mission here, little old Lewis, Delaware. You know, he came out of Buffalo, hit the road, and he came down here, and now he's like a chef sommelier. And him and his business partner Jim has made this great little listening room.
It's so beautiful, and
it is.
You know, I saw some pictures online, but you don't really feel it until you walk in, and now
Ain't that the truth?
It's all coming together. Everything I've heard about the room and what I was expecting, it just kind of blossomed when we walked in.
It's
So
great. I mean, I'm a
beautiful.
fan, and I'm one of the community, the support or volunteers as well. And I find it fascinating every time I come in and I see an artist play, that how it resonates with the audience and how they respond back, and then the artist will just amp their game up because that intimacy is really good. And that's we got 60, 65 people maybe, so it's really cool. But for you, Claudia Hoyser, singer, songwriter, social influencer. Could I add entrepreneur to that?
Oh, I think you can. A few things. Yes. So, coffee addict.
Yeah, okay. It's so great to see someone like yourself. I mean, you're just not focused on music, which I want to talk about, but you have these other elements about you that you're more diverse in your approach to business and music, and just you want to be like, I don't know, an entrepreneur. I mean, it's all the elements that talk about it. So. Your music, I really am recently new to hearing you and listening to you and hearing your voice, and I hear your difference, what makes your voice so unique, and I hear blending of Miranda and Carrie and Sheryl Crow.
I love it. Thank you.
No, I do. I really do. It was fascinating.
Huge compliment.
It's
some of my absolute favorites too.
They're great, and I love every one of them. Your take on country. How did you come around to starting? Was it just a jump in the country, or
no? Not at all. Slow grow.
Okay.
I am from upstate New York, so I'm from Fairport, New York, Rochester, outside of Rochester, and I grew up listening to country music, but I loved everything. I listened to absolutely everything. Between my parents, you should hear what was played in our home.
Okay.
And so I grew up listening to everything, and I wanted to be in country music, but I didn't really feel like anybody was going to buy it. Like, who is this New Yorker coming out in her cowboy boots singing country songs about, I'm like, no one's going to believe me. I've never ridden a horse in my life, But the more I kept writing and telling stories and starting to put songs together, and what I was listening to had such an influence on me, and I realized that it doesn't matter where you're from.
Right.
Everybody has stories about, family and heartbreak, and it's just, that is country music. Yeah. So the way that I like to tell stories in my songs, and they're very lyric driven, and I just love adding in the rootsy elements of a resonator guitar or a little pedal steel. It just is country music. So I had a song we sent to a friend of ours who worked at a country radio station just to see what he thought of the tune. And at this time, I really didn't consider myself country at all.
Right.
A lot of people said that the song I'm talking about, it's called No Matter What It Costs. People would say, oh, it sounds like Sheryl Crow. And so we sent it. We're like, should we finish this up? Do you think it's worth it, catchy enough that anybody listening to radio would enjoy it?
Right.
He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Finish it up. I think this works perfectly for my playlist.
Cool.
I want to try testing it a little bit. So this is my friend Stonehill. He's at a country radio station at home. And he's like, I played it a few times this week, and something funny happened. People started calling in and asking about the song and asking if it was the new Sheryl Crow record. And I'm like, what? And I didn't realize how big of a deal this was. but he's like, nobody really calls in to the station anymore unless they're gonna like win a concert ticket or win a car or something. So he's like, this is kind of a big deal. Like, I'm gonna start playing it regularly. Okay. So he added it to his station, and we got all excited about this. Wow. Started calling a few other stations, like, would you play it? He's playing it, you know. And I just started building some great relationships with smaller country radio stations, and all of a sudden, here I was being warmly welcomed into country radio. Wow. And I'm like, you know, I hoped and dreamed that this would happen, but I never really thought it would. Right. So we just kept rolling with it. I kept writing, putting out songs, and the whole entrepreneurial thing came into play because I never thought I was going to be a singer.
So what came first, your music or this idea or the singing? And
no, this actually happened because of the music, which is very amazing. Yeah. So I went to college, I studied communications, I was ready to build a brand for somebody else, right? And I love doing all of that. But then I had an opportunity to work at a music studio and maybe start writing a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know how long I could do that. I can't say, you know, in 20 years, you know, maybe I'll try that music thing now. So I'm like, I have to go for this right now.
That's awesome.
So I turned down an internship in New York City for like branding and marketing. And I stayed home and I started working at a studio in Webster, New York. And started just putting out songs and working on an album and making videos all the time, putting them out. During COVID, we had a video series called Hoyser Country Monday. And every week we put out a new version of a classic country song. And we hid a little vintage espresso pot in all the videos. Okay. So no matter what, all but one, there's like a million of these videos, all but one, we forgot to put the coffee pot in one video. So if you find it out there, let me know what video it is. So people started tuning in every week. We had about like an aggregate number of 900,000 views per week on this video series on Facebook Live. Yeah. And people would tune in and they would be like, oh, love this song. And I saw the coffee pot. It's at 30 seconds. And they would start finding the hidden coffee pot.
Almost like a Easter egg.
It was a little Easter egg. And we just put it in the first one as like something to have in the video, like a set design. Yeah. And then it just became a thing. And everybody was like, where's the coffee pot? Claudia's going to die without her coffee. And I'm like, they're not wrong. I totally love this stuff. Coffee. You know? So long story short, we were playing at a show. We were playing a small tavern in our hometown. And the owner of the bar came up to me and he's like, what's the deal with the coffee pot in all your videos? And I told him, I don't do anything without it at the studio. You know, we go through a pot of espresso before we write anything or work on anything. And he asked if I would be interested in coming up with my own blend of coffee to offer to my followers as like a merch table piece. And I'm thinking, this is the coolest thing anyone's ever said to me, but, you know, we'll see. You know, people say crazy things all the time. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then he was coming over to the studio with beans from around the world, different machinery, grinders, different roasts, and all this stuff. And
all for you to look at and examine and go, okay, well.
What do you like? And I thought it was going to be easy because I'm like, I get to design the bag and put this on my merch table. Put whatever you want in there. And then as I got testing it, it was almost impossible because I'm like, people are going to see my name, they're going to see my face, and then they're going to sip this stuff.
It's got to be good.
It's got to be good.
Yeah, it has to be.
And so, of course, we work our way up, and I'm getting to the more expensive beans, right? I found one, it's called Tanzanian Peaberry. Oh, wow. So that was added to the blend, and I'm like, this is great.
And it's right here.
It is right there.
Okay.
And now it is called Hoyser Country Blend. It's my little baby. And I thought we'd sell 100 bags at the merch table, and that would be the end of it.
All right, well, and make sure you look up Hoyser Country Blend and
Hoyser
go
Country.
for it. HoyserCountry.com. There you go.
And then it took off, and a chain grocery store at home called Tops Markets picked it up. And then it started shipping into over 22 countries.
Get out,
because we went live at the roastery, and I was signing bags and saying, hey, if you're watching this on Facebook, you know, who just popped in? Oh, Bill, yeah, let's do this. I'll sign it for you. And I would ship it to them, and it just
unreal.
Went crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to start
coffee
something, the coffee's it.
So cool. I'm so proud of it too. It's
you
like
should
music
be.
to me.
You know, I mean, I have a repair shop. I'm really into the auto world, and I do a couple podcasts for these guys, and it's all about marketing and communications and all that stuff. And if you guys listen in, well, if I share it with them, you're hearing a true story of an entrepreneurial trip here that's turning out to be successful, not only musically, but business-wise and entrepreneurial-wise. So that's fantastic. So your music, though.
Thank you. Yes.
It's tremendous.
I didn't even tell you about the whiskey. We turned it into a coffee
I was
whiskey
going to get to that because
but that goes after the music.
Okay, because I wanted to get to that because I was looking. I'm going, is she bringing that whiskey here?
I wish I had it with
that bean whiskey. I'm like, okay, but yeah.
I might have a bottle to show you in the car so we can show it.
Just show?
No, we can't open it. It's just for show.
All right.
Until after the show. Then who knows? That's the after party.
After the show is fine.
Yes.
So I like my whiskey. I like my bourbon. But your music, like I said, it's really so powerful. I mean, just listen for your sound check. Your voice. How did you develop that voice?
Man, it took some time.
Okay.
It did. I just have always loved to sing, and I've always loved to write songs. And I don't know what gave me the confidence as I was younger, to sit there and make YouTube videos. And I just wanted to create music.
Right.
I did. I don't think I ever thought I was good. I just loved to do it. And it kept finding me.
Okay.
So even when I would go and think I was going to have to get a real, big girl job, I would then stay home on the weekend and I would work on a song or I would work on playing guitar. I'd sit there and my uncle taught me guitar lessons and I also would pull up YouTube videos and just sit there and try to learn. And I had this little crack in my voice that I couldn't stand. It's like a little yodel thing that happens. And I started taking some voice lessons and I'm like, look, if we get one thing out of this whole experience, I'm telling my vocal coach, I want to get rid of this little vocal crack thing.
Right.
And she's like, no, that is your identifier. And I'm like, maybe this isn't the right vocal coach for me. I was so frustrated because I've taken these lessons. It's not going away. It's almost getting stronger, And then I started working with my manager producer, and he was helping me and trying to hone in my sound. What is your sound? What sounds good on your voice? What are the vowels that shine with you? What should you stay away from? So we were kind of, because I don't have this big belty voice. I can't sing everything in the book. I wanted to sing Adele songs. I can't sing Adele songs.
Yeah, okay, I can see.
So
it's unique. It's
unique.
Different.
So I had to learn, I can sing that song I love if I sing it this way.
Right.
And totally change
Another
it.
key or whatever.
Right. So that little yodel in my voice became like almost a fingerprint sound.
Yeah.
And so now I really tried to hone it in and use it to my advantage. And that can be one of my things where someone hears it and say, oh yeah, I think that's Claudia.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to really just sit there listening back to myself and find out, okay, I shouldn't do that, or that's good. That I have a very like a subtle side, like a whisperier thing. Yeah. And I had to learn, that sounds nice. And so when I'm writing, I think of that, like, I can use this here. And over time, it's just grown into, now I don't have to think about it.
Right, it's you.
But I worked on it hard because I could tell when I sang what was right for my voice, I sounded how I wanted to be heard.
Okay, that's a big statement.
Thank you.
You sounded like you wanted to be heard. The way you wanted to be heard.
Because I would listen back to like a video of me sitting in a coffee shop, and I'd be like, please turn that off.
You want to keep it. So,
I had so much fun, and it was a beautiful night. But God, I don't know if I should sing that song again. So
I think everybody's got videos that they keep, but they look at it and go, oh God, thank God I'm better than that now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you started. And that's what's true. I mean, when you start any kind of career or like say music, whatever it is, there's always that beginning, and that's the ugly part.
Right.
And then you grow from that. But then, I know that I look back and I appreciate some of the stuff I've done. And I look forward and I go, okay, well, I've made those improvements, just like you have.
It's been a long road,
but
at the end of the day, it also feels like I'm just starting. Every phase is a new beginning.
Yeah.
And it's
there's a new day every day.
New day every day.
Yeah.
So, I did the coffee shops, I did the restaurants, I did the loud bars. I've been able to open for some of my most favorite artists in the world, Miranda, Lambert, Brantley Gilbert, Keith Urban.
And all the way they give you the tips. Do they guide you and they educate you?
Little Big Town, they sat down and they were like,
great.
what do you want to do? Where do you want to be? And it's just like, I can't even believe I'm sitting here with some of my favorite people that I've listened to my whole life.
Right.
And they're giving me pointers and listening to us open for them. And then now I'm trying to do a lot of things like this, like we're doing tonight at the Room at Cedar Grove, because it's people coming out to listen to an artist and to experience a night. And it just means so much. It's just a very fulfilling way to perform.
That's great. I'm glad you feel that way, because we appreciate having artists like yourself come in, and whether or not you're trying something different, you don't have the full band with you, whatever the case might be, it's your presence, and we respect and really appreciate the time that you're taking to come in here and play for, you're playing for kids.
Yeah.
And pretty much. Is what
I know.
it is,
It's for the kids. It's an amazing cause, and it's paired with an incredible dinner. I just got a taste of it, and I wanted to eat the entire thing. But
how about that salad?
I'll fall asleep on stage.
Yeah.
So the salad, I could have done 4 courses
Me too.
of just
a
the
salad. I know.
I'm like, I make salads all the time. They are nothing like this.
Brian's a whiz with that.
So simple, but everything put together was just the perfect pairing.
And all it needed
amazing.
was some bean whiskey.
Right, drizzle on top.
Exactly. That's why. So again, well, let's segue into that.
Yes.
How did you went from coffee?
Yep.
And I really we're here for music, but I can't help it. I do love coffee. I drink espresso in the morning, and now I drink whiskey. And so I'm like,
so do I now.
So now I really got to talk to you.
I did it before.
Okay.
So we come up with this coffee. It's going great. People are buying it online. I'm singing at shows, telling everybody about the coffee.
Yeah.
And doing these live videos, and it's just taken off. And we got an email from my friend now, Justin. He calls and he says, you guys don't know who I am, but we love you. We love your music. We love your coffee. And we have a distillery in Idaho. And we would love to talk to you about possibly turning your coffee into something alcoholic. And I'm like, okay, are you kidding? So I think here we go again, right?
Yeah.
Like I never thought that I'd be sitting here with this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So we get talking with them, and he starts sending different samples of different things. Like he's like, we do moonshine, vodka, and whiskey. What would you like to do with your coffee? And I'm like, well, I would never pick whiskey because I'm not a whiskey drinker. And I'm like, honestly, I love beer. I'm a beer drinker, but they didn't do any porters or IPAs like that. So he's like, no, if you were going to grab a cocktail at the bar, what would you get? And I'm like, probably a vodka tonic. So we tried vodka. So he starts blending this coffee with his vodka and sending it to us. And I'm just like, I love you so much, but I'm not, I can't. I'm not going to be able to sip this on a stage in front of everybody and then sing a show. Like it's just, it's too strong right now. And he's like, okay, so we messed with that for a while. It just wasn't gelling. We tried it as a moonshine because I'm like, what if we did like a sweeter thing and it's in a jar, it's like a mason jar, and it could be like a So Country, right?
Yeah.
I took one sniff of that White Lightning and I almost fell on the floor. I'm like, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get. So then he's like, well, let's try one more. Let's try the whiskey. And I'm like, I really don't know. I don't know. But I just loved that they were so willing to just keep trying, testing, working with the batches. And he just didn't get frustrated at all. He's like, we're going to figure it out. And he sends me a coffee whiskey made with Hoyser Country Blend, brewed and barreled with a corn whiskey, and there's some Madagascar vanilla bean in there, and a little brown sugar, and I think a little white sugar, and I'm like, now this is a whiskey I could get behind.
There you
go. I told him back off on the sweetness a little bit, or I can't really taste any alcohol. Maybe we need to up it just a baby bit so people think it's not like juice in a box, right?
True.
And we finally dialed it into the most amazing blend of
70
coffee
proof
whiskey.
So
and
that's
you can't
pretty
really
good.
tell you're drinking.
Right.
So
Well, it's like
delicious.
people used to Red Bull vodka. Now you can have coffee and whiskey, and you can get keep yourself going. At the same
Yes.
time, enjoy a little
Yes.
takeoff, right?
It's good. It's like a little sipper. It's like an after dinner
Yeah,
drink. And
exactly.
I know. We're gonna have to get it into Delaware so we can pair it with.
All right, coffee, whiskey, music.
Yep.
Your whole career, superstars you worked with. I mean, it's a whole suite of experiences for such a young age, right? I mean, you're still kind of, I mean, yeah, you're young, right?
I know. Well, I'm hanging on to it
Yeah.
for dear life. But
For-
yeah,
I
I just turned 30.
was gonna say, you said
And,
goodbye
you know,
to 20s.
I was scared of that. Yeah, sweet
That's what
20s.
sweet 20s.
I wrote a little goodbye song to my
Yeah.
20s, and I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it is.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I'm finally, like, going at it with a comfortable mindset. Like, I'm
And
not
you will.
gripping at everything. I'm
Right.
just doing what I know that I like
Mm-hmm.
and working with the best people possible and just finding little holes that, you know, maybe a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
Like this. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is a room that is doing amazing things for kids.
Yeah.
It is feeding like real true music fans.
Yeah.
And it's helping artists like me like grow
Yeah.
and in small areas. And so
Well, I find getting older, things slow down for you enough to recognize and
Yeah.
maneuver and get through and go, I don't want that. I'll
yeah,
take that.
and I'm
Why?
not going to do that.
Right,
Or,
right.
this looks good, you know.
This looks
You
good.
can kind of pick and choose
Yeah.
and navigate your own path a little better.
Yeah.
So I feel really, really good. And we're
Good.
testing out new music tonight.
I was gonna say, what's the next?
Mm-hmm.
Any CD? What are you dropping?
Yeah, so I'm
Next.
getting ready to release 4 brand new songs
Okay.
at the head of the new year.
Okay.
But I'm trying to then maybe pair it with the next 4 and make it into a full album.
A full
but
album.
right now, I'm just on the first 4.
Okay.
And they're coming together so well.
That's
and,
great.
I'm
You gonna try any
recording them.
tonight on the acoustic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll definitely
Good.
hear some tonight.
Good.
Yeah, because I need to get a feel for which songs that everybody likes.
Yeah.
And so we'll do the ones that we're recording right now, but then we're going to sneak in other new ones and see what gets a good response.
Right.
Because I'm always testing out
That's great.
new material and seeing what people like or what kind of goes over. Like it was good, but you could tell people didn't really connect.
Yeah.
And so I just look for what feels good.
Great.
So.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for the time you spent
Thank
before you
you.
go on tonight. Great having you again in Lewis, Delaware, Little Lewis. Shame you're not here in the summertime. You can experience the beaches, but nonetheless, it's a great community, and we're really happy you're here.
Thank you so
know,
much. I mean,
and-
it's our first time here, and we have a
Yeah.
sold-out show tonight,
Yeah.
so I'm over the moon.
That's fantastic.
And thank you for everything you're doing
You're
for
welcome.
these kids.
And we hope to see you again
thanks
sometime.
for having
and
us.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Right. See you.